Welcome back to the Build a Nation Challenge. B36 have not won the Meistaradeildin since 1992, and they haven't won the Cup since 1995. In our first season back in the top league, we need to rebuild the team into one that can compete for titles, though it might take 2 seasons to get there. So, that's kind of my first plan with B36. Have them win domestically. The second part of that plan is to secure Champions League money, and then use that for a second major rebuild. After those 2 goals are completed, which might take 3 or 4 seasons, we'll resign. Yes, you heard me. Resign again, and then do it all over with another club. That's the master plan to build this nation. Okay, so we're starting on the squad planner screen, looking at all positions and the players I believe could still be here next season. There are 2 reasons for this. First, it's likely to be a big rebuild this transfer window, with our main objective being to bring in high-quality players, regardless of their positions. Second, we have no idea what formation we'll be playing, as we don't know where these quality players might fit. Alright, here we go. The transfer window is open. We've started by releasing 8 players who were all part of the first team last season. We need to clear out some of the lower quality players to make room for better ones. The first player to come in is on a loan deal, Robin Olsen, a striker who will likely be recalled halfway through the season. Unless we're playing with 2 strikers, since Østergaard is still our main man, this could end up being a bit of a miss on my part. Next is Thomas Oresio, also on a loan deal. He's very likely to be our first choice inside forward. I'm pretty happy about getting someone like him, especially since we're only paying 300 in wages. Simon Christensen is our third loan deal. He's a Suduroy Academy player, and I brought him in as our first choice fullback. But as you can see here, I might have signed someone even better, so this could be another case of him being recalled after half a season. I promise you, it's not all loan deals. We're just starting with them. Noel Kervinen is the 4th loanee, a defensive midfielder who will likely be a starter for us. Ate Ahola is the last loan deal for now. He's a right winger who will be competing with Valteson for the starting spot, though they'll probably rotate quite a bit. With 5 loan deals, you might think we're not signing many players ourselves. Well, in that case, you'd be wrong. We've got 9 more players to look at. First up is another defensive midfielder, Vesa Virtanen. He's more defensively minded than Kervinen, and will likely be a second option. Arnor Gauti Hauksson is a new central defender who can play on either side. He could be a starter or a rotational option. Time will tell. A blast from the past. Santeri Lahtinen is back in the Faroe Islands. He's earned 50 caps for the national team and played 80 matches for Suduroy back in the day. Now he's back, and likely our starting left-sided player. Ville Madsen is a new goalkeeper. I'm not quite sure if he'll be first choice, or if Duland will keep the spot, but I think we're okay with these 2 for the season. Now for the big signing, Alain Beugré. I'm a bit surprised he was willing to sign for us, especially on such cheap wages, just 425. This guy is good enough to sit on the bench for Suduroy. He's a foreigner, but a 17-year-old this good? That's freaking awesome. Edur Benedict Hlifarsson is a second or third option as an inside forward on the left. I might be paying slightly too much for him at 700 wages, but he could be a good impact substitute with his physical attributes. Back to the left-back situation. Mads Hauge is possibly the first choice. He's definitely better defensively than going forward, but as we all know, decent physicals can make up for a lot of technical shortcomings. Sylvie Kjeld Cardoso is a mix of a central defender and fullback, but I think he might end up as our first choice fullback unless we find someone better later on. Magnus Sigurdsson is the last of the bunch. He's a striker and likely the second option behind Østergaard. This makes me think the loan deal for Olsen might have been a bit of a miss, as I'm unsure if we'll play with 2 strikers. After all those transfers, the squad page looks like this. Not bad at all. I already feel pretty comfortable about competing in the league. But the question is, what formation would this squad fit? Call me boring, but I think the current 4-3-3 formation matches what we've got. There are only 2 concerns in terms of quality. Our starting fullbacks on either side could definitely be better. And there is a big question mark over our 2 goalkeepers. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with our overhauled squad. As it happens, we've ended up with 25 players, which is my preferred number. but I do foresee it being hard to keep everyone happy with playing time. Both the loanees and our own players, as many of them have problematic playing time statuses. You know what, guys? I completely forgot that Suduroy wasn't knocked out of all competitions in the last episode. Apparently, they were good enough to qualify for the Europa League. And they're not doing too badly after 6 games. They're 22nd in the league with 2 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses. Even better, Klaksvíkar is still in 8th place after 6 games in the Conference League. That's amazing. This might actually be our best season ever, and we're not even there to take the glory. But I love it anyway, as all this is down to our hard work throughout the save. Quick look at our finances. We're in good shape. We've got £362,000 in the bank, and we're only spending a couple thousand more compared to last season. I'm chuffed, and we should be in a good spot. Well, how about this? After the last 2 matches, Suduroy managed to finish strong and take 15th place. Good for them. They also managed to knock out Frankfurt in the playoff. So we've actually got 2 teams in the round of 16 in 2 different competitions for the first time. We've finally gotten through this long preseason, and man, we're starting with some tough games. Suduroy and then Klaksvíkar. It's not too surprising that we're pretty low in the odds to win the league. I think we might do better than 8th place. My goal is actually top 4, which might be a stretch, but it would be nice to have European competition next season. Klaksvíkar didn't get any further in the Conference League, but the round of 16 was already a pretty decent run for them. Suduroy is out of the Europa League after losing to Reins in a penalty shootout. But again, having 2 teams get this far should bring in a decent amount of coefficient points, so I'm very happy. Half a season later, it's been a bumpy road with 8 wins, 3 draws, and 4 losses. But this is about what I expected, maybe even slightly better. We're 3rd in the league with 24 points, with Suduroy running away from the rest of us. But I think we can be happy with the first part of the season. Unfortunately, we got unlucky in the cup quarter-final against Klaksvíkar, and they knocked us out, which is a shame. The transfer window is open, and I have a feeling we might lose some players and need replacements, but we'll see. Coefficient points were updated, and it's a new high total of 10,500 points. I thought it would be high, but I didn't expect it to be a record. That's gonna be helpful for years to come. We're still 19th, but maintaining that isn't bad either. We've got a new signing, Rune Overvik, a winger or inside forward on the left. I fully expect Oresjo to be recalled soon, and he's been fairly poor, so we're bringing in someone new. Well, apparently it turned out the complete opposite. Not often that happens. The window is closing again, and we haven't lost anyone yet, though that could still happen. In his first league match, Rune Overvik scored 4 goals and got a 10 rating. I suppose he already looks like a good signing. We also destroyed B68's previous record for most goals scored in a league game. Nes Soknar won the cup last season and got access to the Europa League first qualifier. But let's just say their quality didn't live up to the standard. They're out, but losing the first qualifier gave them access to the second round of the Conference League, which they won. Klaksvíkar made it to the 3rd round, but unfortunately, our 3rd team, Havanar Boltfelag, did not. In the 2nd round of the Champions League, Suduroy knocked out Shamrock Rovers. In the 3rd round, Klaksvíkar made it to the playoffs, but Nes Soknar had a tough draw against Gent and got knocked out. Suduroy managed to win, so we've got at least 1 guaranteed team in the league phase now. But the question is, do we get 2 teams through? The answer is no. Klaksvíkar isn't the luckiest team when it comes to draws. They got West Ham in the 4th round, which is pretty much the worst case scenario. But Suduroy did win their playoff game against Rosenborg, so we've got at least 1 team in the Champions League. The rest of the season was more to the same, a bumpy road with 7 wins, 4 draws, and 3 losses. But that was enough to secure 4th place, just ahead of our rivals. It never really got exciting or close in the last few games, even though there were only 2 points between us. We're also not far behind Klaksvíkar and Vikingur in 2nd and 3rd place. But obviously, I'm very happy with our 4th place finish, which will give us a chance in the Conference League qualifiers next season. Technically, the highest rated player for the season is also our newest signing, Rune Overvik, with a 736 rating in 12 matches, including 8 goals and 3 assists. Definitely worth bringing him in mid-season, even though Oresjo decided to stay. But to me, if we look at a player who played all season, Alain Beugré was the true highest rated player, with a 7.3 rating in 28 matches. Not too surprising that our star player is also the best performer overall. The top goal scorer is, unsurprisingly, our academy player, Marcus Ostergaard. He didn't come close to last season's tally, managing only 11 goals this season, but that's still almost a goal every 2 games, so not bad at all. We don't really have a top assist provider, as there are 5 players with 5 assists each. I'd like to highlight Lars Keller, who I thought would be our weakest starter, but the youngster actually did quite well. Checking up on Suduroy, they don't look great in the Champions League. After 4 games, they're sitting in 31st place with 1 win and 3 losses. As for the Faroe Islands national team, they haven't played the playoff yet, but they did quite alright in the European Championship qualifier with 9 points. They're still quite far behind Serbia and Bulgaria, and this was one of the easier groups. They've fired the manager, but there's no guarantee I'll be offered the job. I really hope I get the chance though, as I think we can get much better results for them. Alright guys, that's another season in the bag, a decent one, especially with the coefficient points that Cyclical and Suduroy got us. My personal goal of a top 4 finish in the league, which would get us into Europe in our 3rd season with B68, also came true. All in all, very good. Next episode, I think we'll have another busy transfer window, with a big overhaul and possibly higher wage spending.
Be gone, son!